Hello to whom this may concern. I don't know who's seeing this video. Could be Kosi, could be Flurst. If it's not Kosi or Flurst or Manny, I don't really know why you're watching this video, but I don't know. I guess you'll learn something from this. So this is just gonna be me spouting about random stuff that I've been thinking about for a long time, and it's been swirling in my head, and I think it's a pretty interesting concept. I just want to talk about it, and that's really it. So I've been thinking a lot about two things. Actually, no, one thing, which is hold on, let me get this right. Okay. Um, Hold up. So the color doesn't want to work. We have a problem. Okay. I guess this works. So yeah, whatever. I was gonna restart it. I was just gonna like restart it just from scratch, but who cares? Let's just keep going. Um, so I've been thinking about a couple things, right? One thing really, the relationship between the masculine and the feminine, right? And what does that mean? And what does it mean to be masculine? What does it mean to be feminine? None of that. I'm not gonna go into transgender, and that's not what this is about. This is just about just masculinity and femininity, right? And what do they mean? And for the masculine, I'm just gonna draw it out as an M. That's an awful M. Oh my god, just an M and the feminine here, right? I'm gonna talk about the masculine more because I know about that more naturally, or at least I think I do. Um, this is just my opinion, by the way. Everything here is just my opinion, but I see as the masculine, the role of the masculine is to protrude, right? Protrude, which basically means, if you don't know what protrude means, why don't I just give you the definition? Might be spelled wrong. Extend beyond, right? To extend beyond. So what I mean by it's the male's job to, or the masculine's job to protrude is the masculine's job, at least in my opinion, to create, to give, right? To essentially give. You can say protrude. You can say provide. Basically mean is to give to the world, right? And naturally, the feminine is the opposite. It's to receive, right? I'm not in a sexual way, right? But just give, receive, right? But I think the percentages are a little bit different. I think for masculine, the percentages of receiving protrude to receiving should be something like 90% protrude, 10% receive. And I'm gonna go into this more specifically a little bit later. And I feel like for the feminine, it's more like 60 to 70% give, and like 40 to 30% receive. Um, that's what I believe, right? So I feel like this is naturally what happens, right? Because I'll get into it, right? But today we have in like modern society, we have a bunch of guys who are like depressed, lonely, all that stuff, right? Now, it's in my argument that I actually believe that the majority of this male sadness actually comes from the lack of protrudement, right? Because males in this society are mostly receiving. Hold up. Receiving rather than giving. So the society today is more receiving rather than giving. And I think that's the biggest problem, because you have games, music, all this stuff, and men today are mostly receiving rather than giving. And I think that's a natural problem. I think a man is happiest when he's giving, not in a sexual. I mean, you can make that in a sexual, but that's not what I mean, right? I mean like giving to the world, naturally giving, right? Creating and giving. And I think when we live in a society where it, the majority of people are consumers rather than producers, we have a society where people are consuming, aka receiving, rather than giving and protruding, right? And I feel like the masculine is happier when the ratio of giving and receiving is 90-10, or like 80-10. I mean 80-20, right? I feel like that's like the natural happiness medium, right? And I feel like the natural cure to this is simply to do the opposite of what most guys are doing respectfully, which is to give more. What does giving more means? just simply producing rather than consuming, right? So instead of, listening to music, maybe creating the music simply, right? Or maybe instead of buying something, selling something, right? But again, maybe it doesn't have to be on the transactional side of business, like selling, or you could just do something like creating, right? Regardless, I think there's been a dramatic shift into receiving, and that's the majority of the problem. Men are supposed to be more, men were created for the reason for protruding and giving. Now, on the other side, females are meant to, not meant, but they receive more, right? Now, not in a sexual way. I'm not going to get into a sexual way, but when it's receiving, I think, um, in a feminine way, receiving is somewhat interchangeable with attraction. Now, I don't mean like attraction in like beauty attraction, right? I mean attraction in simply getting things that they want, period. Literally attracting, right? Like magnets. Like magnets simply attract. A magnet isn't attracting something because it's beautiful, right? I mean, we're using the analogy of magnets for people, and obviously the girls are beautiful, but it's it's simple attraction, simply that, right? I don't mean to tie this down to beauty, but I feel like they're receiving with attraction, right? I feel like the problem with women today, right, is because the female is not supposed to protrude as much as the male, right? But I feel like the ratio to giving and receiving for the female is still higher in consumption than what it's supposed to be, right? So naturally for the female, I'm not an expert. I understand that. All right. I'm not a girl. I understand that. This is all just my theory. This is just what I've been thinking about. It's me just talking, right? But from what I'm thinking, the female is probably supposed to give to the world, right? About 60 to 70% of herself, right? While the guy is 80 to 10, for the female it's more like 60 to 70, right? And so that's about a right ratio, in my opinion. A girl could tell me I'm wrong. It is. That's fine. Um, but I feel like the problem is that for females, the rate of consumption is higher, if not higher, than the male, right? Because females have been kind of taught to receive as much as possible and to use their attraction as much as possible rather than to give, right? Because I mean, we could really go into what is a woman, right? Because then we're really talking about it, and I mean that's a topic for another time. I don't want to get into that because that's just like that's just too much stuff. This is simply about masculine and feminine, right? So we have the female who's supposed to attract and receive. Um, but when it comes to giving, I feel like they're supposed to produce, um, produce, problem. They could definitely produce the same thing that the masculine does, but I think that they should be doing it in a different way. For example, let's say two guys are selling something, right? Actually, no, two people are selling something, right? They're both selling a piece of chocolate, right? Now, if this guy is selling the chocolate, he's just probably gonna like put it in like a plastic bag, sell it. Pretty simple, right? Now, that would probably get you could sell a product like that really, 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 really incredibly, right? Incredibly. Now, what happens when you bring the feminine into that? Well, a lot of girls, what they try to do, right, is like this is going more into like females in business, right? Because when females enter the workforce, they're very much like they wanna like there's this big idea with like competing with the man, right? Like the girl wants to be the man and like do all that stuff, right? But I think there's a shift that has to happen where females have to realize that because they're a female, they have a competitive advantage, right? And I think so many girls are trying to compete with men and they're failing because they're competing with men. They're trying to be men. But if females just were like competing because they are females, that's their competitive advantage, they would do a lot better. Now, when I say competitive advantage, I don't mean sex. That's not the competitive advantage that I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about like I'm pretty sure there's this girl who does drop shipping. I forgot her name, but she was on a podcast with not a podcast, but she was on a video with Jordan Welch. she does drop shipping with her partner, and they're selling a product, right? And her and her partner were drop shipping together, and they were making like $4 million. And I kid you not, she put a sticker on her product saying like "thank you" or something, right? And she like put like embellishments, which is like signatures and like carvings into the box, right? That year they went from making 4 million a year to like 7 million or like 10 million because of a sticker and like engravements. Now, obviously, a guy could do that too, but it's the feminine, it's the femininity in putting a sticker on something, saying like "we love you" and putting like a signature and an engravement, like doing that extra work, bringing that femininity to the table, is why I believe she got that success, right? And so I think if more girls can look at this and say like actually bringing their femininity to the table instead of trying to compete with men, like the success that they would see would be so much higher. Um, because there are already thick-headed tough guys in business. I mean, we can have more of those. That's cool, but if we can really diversify it and bring that femininity into the equation, then that's where real success happens, right? Because now we have multiple perspectives. Um, but getting back into it, that's really what I'm been thinking. I've been thinking about this more, but I don't want to make this a long video. It's just like 11 minutes. Yeah, I don't want to make this a longer video. This is just what I've been thinking about. Um, but yeah, the natural solution to this, I would say, is men should probably produce more, consume less. Same thing with females; they should produce more, consume less. But more so for the guys, because I think if guys simply created more, they'd be more in tandem with who they naturally are, which is they naturally want you uh, protrude. I mean, if you're a guy, I'd say test it out. Literally, don't watch YouTube for like a week. See how like not only don't watch YouTube, but do like give more. Like just create and give more. Do more. Like go into the world more. I don't know. I mean, I can't really say. I mean, for me personally, that's like I it's not time yet. It's not the time to make a video on that, but just do more, give more. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm probably gonna make another video about attraction and like the attraction between the masculine and the feminine and why they always come together. Thinking about that too. But yeah, that's that. I was just thinking about this. I just had it on my mind. Just wanted to say something. That's pretty much it. All right.